The story of this trip began last April. On a day trip, I explored the low tide coastline around Beer and stumbled across this fascinating cave-rich cove called Pounds Pool Beach. I mentally noted the tides and compositions, knowing I would revisit this location at night soon. Fast forward nearly a year, and I had my first opportunity where favorability, clear weather, moon phase and tides aligned to allow a chance to see how this coastline location looked under a dark, starry night sky. I arrived on a last drop in tide so I could first shoot the classic scene from Beer of the fishing boats on the steep pebbled beach, and spent around 20 minutes making a few different compositions while the tide continued to retreat. This was my favourite image from the selection I took. I loved how the winter sky was positioned with the coastal cliffs and boats. With the light pollution from some powerful spotlights on the cliff, the foreground and boats were illuminated without needing a longer exposure foreground frame, allowing an excellent opportunity for a single exposure image. I walked along the water's edge for the next set of compositions. At this time, Orion was edging more to the west and aligning with these impressive chalk cliffs that had always caught my eye whenever I visited here. What caught my eye with this scene was the three prominent chalk boulders and the path-like trail of smaller boulders leading the eye into the scene. And obviously the winter sky also looked fantastic from this perspective. Now the tide was low enough, I wandered along the cliff base, through the rock arch to set my eyes on the fantastic cave which framed Orion nicely. I had a further exploration as this corner of the cove had three caves that could have been photogenic, but I was happy with the cave image I had initially taken. I then wandered to the water's edge to make these images using the interesting foreground rocks and small ocean swell breaking on the foreshore. For my final image of the night, I wanted to include a bit more depth, so I decided to include foreground cliff to the left side of the frame, as well as the mid-ground with the rocks and the waves breaking and the background cliff. The tide at this point was quickly coming in, so it was time for me to retreat and get myself to the safety of Beer before the tide reached the cliffs. The water wasn't miles away from the base of the cliffs, so pleased I didn't push the time too much. Overall, a fantastic trip. That was a long time in the planning, but it felt very rewarding to finally photograph this place at night. Thank you for watching, and I hope everyone gets to enjoy some clear dark skies soon.